If you follow a proven process, your results are going to be fairly predictable. Certain actions produce certain results. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore, and I'm here with my main man, Mr. Dave Sivulich, and we are bringing another episode or segment of Whisky Wednesdays. These are kind of short, sweet, to the point episodes where we're going to talk about some trending topics in real estate. We're going to talk about some things going on in our world, and then definitely answer a couple of your guys' questions. So if you have questions, wherever you're listening or watching, make sure you send them in to us, DM us, or send them in to us in the comments on these episodes, and we'll make sure we answer them, because if you have that question, somebody else is going to as well. So Dave, let's get started.
Let's get going.
You organize, and we were joking before that you're the producer of these.
Yeah, definitely not the producer. Just kind of organize this. Holidays. I love the holidays. Christmas, New Year's,
we're right in the smack dab in the middle of it right now.
Right now. So let's talk a little holiday topic. So, what is your favorite Christmas movie?
Ooh, Christmas movie. My all-time favorite. That's easy, actually, for me. It's A Christmas Story. Old Ralphie. That little dude, I think he is funny every time I watch him.
I love that too.
I love that story. I love watching it. I could watch it all the time. Last year we went to the play, the live musical play of it. That's awesome. It for me.
I do like that show. It's crazy to me that, I don't know when that was made, the 60s, 70s, probably 70s. Anyways, it's still as popular as ever right now. It's awesome. It stood the test of time for sure.
You're going to shoot your eye out, kid. Yeah. The old Red Ryder.
I love watching Christmas movies. The whole, 2 weeks prior to Christmas and after, I got a Christmas movie on. So I could just name them here and say it here. But my favorite, I never can stop watching Home Alone, dude. I think that's hilarious. It's a good message and pretty funny. So anyways, that's probably one of my, but Elf is great. The Grinch is awesome.
The Grinch. Reason the kids are like you. They could watch them nonstop. They watch a Christmas movie every day.
Yeah.
And they love them all. I usually watch one a year. And it's a Christmas story.
Good. What's your favorite Christmas activity? Is there something you or your family likes to do that?
Yeah, my favorite activity when the kids started, we used to go to everybody's house, because our families are really close. My parents are here, Teresa's parents, and so we would go to their houses, right? And we'd take the kids around. Well, when the kids were little, we did that, and then we just started saying, hey, we're going to start staying home. I love going to the parties. I love seeing the family. I love doing all that stuff, and we have some great traditions. My favorite thing about Christmas is every Christmas I buy a prime rib, and I put it on Christmas morning, and we cook it, and it's just the four of us. And we have a nice dinner, we make some drinks, and we just chill out for the day. That's my favorite. Yeah. That's my favorite thing about Christmas now, is just hanging out with the four of us and putting that prime rib on and doing that. Even though all the other stuff and the hustle, it's not that I don't enjoy seeing everybody. I just like that day.
Yeah. It's nice being at your own home. You don't have to travel. You don't have to get out, depending on the weather. And always having good food and good drink and just hanging out. And I probably, would similar or kind of the same. We made a tradition at my house to have Christmas dinner with my whole family. Yeah. And we do something like a prime rib or something like that. And we have everybody come over, and my wife, Kelly, makes this amazing raspberry delight. It's pineapple and strawberry and raspberry and, drink and with Sprite and all this. So it's kind of a fun tradition. No whiskey, but it's kind of light. It's kind of light there. It's not quite as fun as other houses, but,
that's why I don't go over.
We try to do the best we can, to have fun. But we have our whole family and one of the best friends and the neighbors come over as well. And so it's fun. Yeah. We have a good time. So, all right, let's jump into a trending topic. And this is, I'm pretty excited to talk about is, and some of you out there may have seen this, but Shawn has done an amazing job with his Cherry Log property. Congratulations to you, my man.
Hey.
The number one property in Cherry Log, Georgia, in that market. Literally 1 year to the date that you threw it out there and said, I'm gonna take this thing to number one. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. That's pretty cool.
That was fun. It was a little bit of pressure. We knew what we did, right?
Yeah.
It was really interesting. So if you go back about a year and a half, right? I was actually on a podcast podcast with somebody, a guest on somebody else's podcast, and they were talking about, okay, the market shifted, rates have gone up, markets are way too saturated, and it's about finding these emerging markets, and if you invest in a market that's undiscovered, and I said, listen, this is a long-term investment.
Right.
If you don't know how to play the game, every market you go into is eventually going to become saturated. Yeah. And I was trying to make that point that, hey, you might find a really, hot market today, but tomorrow it's going to be super saturated. If it's popular today, it's going to be saturated tomorrow. And so now if you don't know how to play the game in a saturated market, you're going to struggle. He was mentioning a couple markets, Destin, Blue Ridge, the Smokies. And he said, you can't make money in these markets anymore. And I was having this discussion on the podcast and trying to make my point that no, you can. If you dial in how to actually operate and understand how to operate at the top of the market, there's a lot of money to be made. And we got off the podcast and kind of disagreed. And I publicly went out and sat there for a minute and thought, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to take this as a kind of a personal challenge. We run the largest coaching company for investors in short-term rentals, and we're actively buying properties. And I said, okay, listen, if we think we're so good, let me show it publicly and do it, right? And so we went out about a year and a half ago and started the acquisition process, and I was very public with it. Like I went back on, I went on my podcast, I went into our membership group and said, I'm going to document this exact process that we teach, and I'm going to document it in real life, in real time, and show you guys exactly how to go step by step through this process and take a property from acquisition to ultimately maximizing the asset. And we did that, right? Yeah, I did a full case study a year ago when we launched it, what it took to find the property, how we analyzed it, what we decided, decisions we made on launching it, furnishing it, setting it up, what unique experience we created, how we put management in place, and literally documented every step of the way and very publicly throughout the year. And we took this property from zero, a brand new property, just furnished it, launched it in a crowded market, which is Cherry Log is right outside of Blue Ridge, Georgia. And I launched it December 9th, 2022, December 12th, 2023, we became the number one property on AirDNA revenue-wise for the number one 3-bedroom property in our market. If you're listening to this, we actually have this case study. If you go to vodacy.com, we've got different case studies and stories. This one's on there, and you can see all of the details. I always tell people that success leaves clues. Go reverse engineer what we did and see the steps we took to do that, because my argument back then, and has been for the last 4 or 5 years as we've been teaching this, since I got into this game in 2006, is if you follow a proven process, your results are going to be fairly predictable. Certain actions produce certain results, period. If you take actions, you're going to get a result. If you don't take an action, you're not going to get that result. And so we documented this very and it was, I thought I would make it in the top 10% of the market pretty easy. We ultimately made it to number one in the market, which was awesome, right? But my goal was to set a high water mark in that market. And I even said that, and I said, I'm going to set the high water mark. I'm going to be the number one property, and here's how I'm going to do it. And we showed people how to do it. It was really, really fun and kind of relieving, right? That after the end of the year, you kind of call your shot, and you end it, you don't want to strike out either. And so by taking certain actions, we would have certain results as well. We've done this so many times.
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, and I know people want to hear this, but it was a lot of work.
Yes.
And it was hard work. And it was a lot of effort. I watched it. I was with you throughout the whole process. And so that's the one thing. Hard work, is one of the things that you've got to be able to commit to when you're getting into this market. Yep. So get in there. And the second thing is, which I think is super important, is you follow the process, and you follow the Vodacy process step by step, exactly what we teach our members. So what you did isn't anything that's in our program that they have access to and that they can learn, and they have resources that they can follow step by step and do the same thing.
We had 3 of my members that called me and said they reached number one in their market. Number one revenue property in the market.
Tampa and a couple others.
Navarre, Florida. And Snowshoe, West Virginia. 3, in 1 week. 3, so it's not like this is a one-off thing. But guess what? They took the action
and they did exactly the same thing. They dialed in the photography. They dialed in the experience. They dialed in the marketing. They dialed in all of those things that you have to do to be successful. So the process is there, but it's always, just like in anything in life, you put in effort and hard work. It's fun to see the success.
Yes.
So it's awesome. So,
it's fun. Yeah. It was a fun week to see that. And in fact, I was on one of our coaching calls with our Empire Club. I didn't know because I always look every month, and November's numbers had come in and it hadn't updated for December yet on AirDNA, right? That's the data tool we're looking at. And I was on a coaching call and it had updated. I actually looked the day before and we were still number 3 in the market. It updated and we ended up being number 1 because it finally updated. So it was kind of exciting because I got to share that excitement with our mastermind group. So it was fun.
That's cool. Good. All right, so let's get to a couple questions. This is from Jonathan. Jonathan said, do you suggest updating your short-term rental photos for seasonal events and the holidays?
Yes, I do. Holidays, we're in the middle of holidays. Let's address that. Like, if you put Christmas trees up for the holidays, if you decorate for the holidays, absolutely take photos of that. And then what happens though, Jonathan, is you have to start advertising the Christmas photos, changing them on the OTAs in like October, right? And so depending on the lead time in your market, right? Maybe your lead time is only 3 weeks, maybe it's whatever. And there's ways you go find that, right? Go find out what the lead time is in your market and then update those photos before that lead time is what your normal booking would come in, right? Let's say it was for Christmas, for example, and I started booking out all of December and all of December's booked, Christmas is booked. Then I would, as soon as I'm booked out, I would change my photos back for maybe
because nobody's booking for Christmas anymore.
Because they're not booking for Christmas in January or February, right? And that doesn't mean just because I book that Christmas week, because there's a lot of people who want Christmas decorations after Thanksgiving. Right? The same is true if you have a seasonal property. Like we have properties in mountains, and you get the fall colors, and then you get the summertime photos, and then you get snow photos. I remember who I was talking about in Snowshoe, West Virginia. They were really struggling about 6 to 8 months ago. They did really well last winter. And then in the spring and summer, they weren't getting any bookings. And they said, hey, Shawn, let's try to optimize this. And we looked at it, and that was a perfect example of changing the photos for the season. They were selling ski pictures in July. And in the summer, they were trying to book out their summer. And I said, listen, people aren't coming to ski in June and July. We need to adjust these photos and take the snow photos out and show the mountain biking and the hiking and the concerts at the resort and all those different things that are happening. They flipped them out, and ultimately 6-8 months later, now adding their winters on together and then rechanging their summer stuff and having a really good summer, they're the number 1 property in the market. They were really struggling before they did that. And so there are things like that you can do that make all the difference in the world, but you have to, sometimes it's hard to get those seasonal photos until you've been a year in business, right? Because
you may not have had that season yet.
Exactly. You might not have had the fall season. So your first summer, your first fall, your first winter, a lot of times you're getting those photos during that time, and then you want to make sure you keep them and adjust them for the next year. And that's where you can really maximize.
People want to see the property in the season that they're going to stay there. They want to. I mean, if I'm going in July, I want to see green grass and the umbrellas out and the deck and the patio and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to see, wow, this looks like a great place to ski, but I'm going there in July. So that really doesn't mean anything to me. So it's important that they have the right photos and
you have to be intentional about it, right? You're going to have to send, you don't need to get brand new photos of the inside of the house typically, unless it's got a lot of windows and you see the whole outside. But Cherry Log's a great example. I hired a photographer. I did my photo shoot. I hired photographers for the seasons to go out and get drone photos of the outside and do outside photos of different seasons, because we've got, I mean, fall's a huge time of year. Summer's a huge time of year, and it looks different, right? The trees are green or they're orange, right? And so we want to be able to show that.
Yeah, good. Right. So last question here is how important is it to choose the right real estate agent when you're acquiring a short-term rental?
It's huge. It's huge. Your boots on the ground partners, realtors, management partners, finance partners, any of those people that you're working on that acquisition, any partner you choose. I mean, and this goes to your photographer, your management company, your designers, any of those partners you choose, they're all important. A realtor's not there just to open the door for you. And specifically in short-term rentals, we're working with somebody that typically they're far away. We're not as familiar with the local market as the realtor would be, right? I'm investing in properties in areas that are not my backyard. Right. Like a lot of times in our backyard, we're pretty familiar with the local nuances of areas, right? On a map on Zillow, I might be looking at an area and there's locally, that a certain street is a kind of divider between the good area and the bad area, for example, like, or more expensive, less expensive, better experience, worse experience. And it might just be a street, for example. And we don't know that looking on a map if we're not familiar with the area. Your realtor is going to be like, yeah, hey, Shawn, you picked that. That's a little bit more of a rough area. That's a little bit more of an area that's still in transition. Maybe you don't want there, or there's a lot going on there that might not be a great guest experience. Those are things that are really hard to tell unless you're familiar with the area. A good realtor in a specific area is going to help you with those kind of things more than anything, really. They're going to know proximity to local attractions. I've looked at a lot of beach communities, and on the map, on Zillow, it looks like I'm really close to the beach, but the realtor's like, hey, just so you know, the beach access is 5 miles down the road. You're a block across the street from the beach, but you can't access it because that's all resort property, and nobody can access the beach there until you go 5 miles down. So that's not a good beach condo. I wouldn't have known that unless I have somebody local that knows that. And so I own a brokerage here in Utah. I've been investing in real estate for 23 years. I don't necessarily have to, I know how to transact a real estate transaction, right? I still hire realtors in every single market that I go into.
They know, and especially know short-term rental ideas, thoughts. They understand the regulation, the rules. That kind of stuff is super important.
And I still take that responsibility mostly on myself.
As the owner.
The local knowledge that they bring, though, is invaluable. You can't get that without somebody that's really familiar with the area. And then obviously if they've got that, it's a bonus if they understand short-term rentals, regulations, where you can and can't. That can be really, really helpful in the process. And we look for that, right? Our network of agents that we work with, they're all certified vacation rental agents that we tap into. They've even taken it a step further to make sure that they're versed on short-term rentals.
All right. Well, that's it for today, buddy. It's a great session. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you. We're going to go eat some prime rib, and you're going to have your raspberry drink with some
raspberry delight.
Raspberry delight. Yeah, we're going to. So, guys, we'll wrap it up today. Appreciate you spending your time with us. And if you're interested, go check out that case study. You'll find it at vodacy.com. Go to the success stories, case studies. I don't even know exactly where it's at. It's on there somewhere. Go to vodacy.com. You'll find it. I always ask you 2 favors at the end of every episode. And the first one is, if you got any value out of this, give us a like, a thumbs up. If you have more than 30 seconds, leave us a review and share it with somebody. If you think somebody else would get value out of it, those things help us grow the show and spread our word and message that we're trying to do. And the last thing that I always ask you is go pick that one thing you can do today to start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends.
Cheers, buddy.